Hey, what's going on everybody? It's ETAPRIME back here again. Today we're going to be talking about the upcoming GPD WinMax 2. As we already know, there's a ton of new handhelds coming to the market. Ever since the Steam Deck hit, there's been a flood of x86 handhelds announced, and we definitely have some really awesome stuff coming. But a lot of the screens on these handhelds that have been announced so far are going from 5.5 inch up to 7 inch, and this is where everything kind of changes with the GPD WinMax 2. We get a 10.1 inch bezel-less display, and as you can see from the on-screen image now, this is going to be a pretty big handheld. It's more like a mini laptop with a 10-inch screen and built-in controls. If you've seen the original WinMax or the upgraded WinMax with the Ryzen APU, you know exactly what kind of style they're going to be going for here, but I'm actually a huge fan of this. I love having a bigger screen, and yeah, this is definitely not going to be as portable as something with a 5.5 inch screen, but you know, if you want that real estate, this is an awesome little setup. So this will be coming out in two different versions, and hopefully it's going to be hitting the market pretty soon. We're going to be able to choose between the i7-1260p, which is a great Alder Lake APU. It's got Intel graphics, 16 to 32 gigabytes of RAM, and they will be using LPDDR5 running at 5200 megahertz. Or if you want to go Ryzen, they're also coming out with the Ryzen 6800U version. You can pick this up with 16 to 32 gigabytes of RAM, and this will have faster RAM. LPDDR5 running at 6400 megahertz. And with that 6800, we have those RDNA 2 graphics. It's the Radeon 680M, really good performer. And to tell you the truth, on the GPU side of things, yeah, this Ryzen will beat out the Intel version. But as CPU performance goes, this 1260p definitely takes the cake. I've done some testing on both so far. Now when it comes to both of these models, you can choose between a 1TB or a 2TB configuration. These handhelds will be running Windows 11 Home out of the box, but I'm sure we'll be able to install Linux. For the analog sticks, they're going to be using Hall sensors here, just like the Neo Next. And instead of having kind of a physical connection, this uses a magnetic field, so it does eliminate stick drift. These units are also going to support an optional 4G LTE module, so you can have internet basically anywhere you go, depending on the network you're on. And as we saw with the storage, it's using PCIe 4.0, 1TB to 2, but this actually has dual M.2 slots, so we can easily upgrade that storage. The one that comes in it is going to be the 80mm model, but if you want to go with the 2230 just to upgrade that storage, it's going to be very easily accessible. It's also got a 67 watt-hour battery with 100 watt quick charging, quad speakers, Wi-Fi 6, and the Intel model is going to support Thunderbolt 4. Now both of these will have USB 4, but unfortunately the Ryzen version will not support Thunderbolt. I've actually seen it work with Ryzen CPUs in the past on motherboards, but most of the time when it comes to these smaller handhelds or even mini PCs, Thunderbolt is usually only implemented with Intel CPUs, but it would be really nice to have Thunderbolt 4 support with that Ryzen 6800. But unfortunately it's just not going to work with that model. When it comes to I/O, we will get a 3.5mm audio jack, USB 3.2 Gen 2, a full-size HDMI 2.1 port, which is really nice. That way we can connect this to a bigger screen and basically use it as a desktop PC. And right here, it does say that the Intel model will have Thunderbolt 4, but the AMD model will only have USB 4. So we've got that USB Type-C back here, which is USB 4, that does support 100 watt fast charging. We've got a micro SD card slot and two more USB 3.2 Gen 2 ports. So all in all, we'll have three full-size USB ports on this unit, which in my opinion does come in really handy. And the power button also dubs as a fingerprint sensor, so we can log into Windows super easily. Taking a look at the screen specs here, it's a 10.1 inch IPS with an aspect ratio of 16:10. Now the highest resolution this can do is 2560 by 1600. We've got up to 450 nits of brightness, but the default resolution out of the box is going to be 1920 by 1200. It also supports 10 points of touch and active pen, so this is going to shape up to be a really nice display. And coming in at 10.1 inches, I mean, it's going to be plenty big for a handheld, and you could use this as a mini laptop. I've got a 10.1 inch laptop that I use, and I personally really like it to travel around with. It's got an all-metal unibody design. They talk a little bit about the Ryzen 7 6800U and what kind of performance you can expect out of this. Right here, it looks like Elden Ring, medium at 1920 by 1200, 34 FPS. God of War low, 45. Grid, 45. Forza Horizon 5, 75, and so on and so on. And the performance that this puts out really depends on what kind of TDP that 6800U is running at, because the built-in RDNA 2 graphics, the 680M, can pull up to 40 watts by itself at full boat. So they're really going to have to find a nice power balance between the CPU side and the GPU side to get this to work properly and not kill the battery in 20 minutes. But yeah, that 6800U is a great performer. Moving down a little bit, talk a little bit about that i7-1260p. I'm a huge fan of these Alder Lake mobile CPUs. When it comes to emulation, you really can't get much better than Alder Lake right now. 12 cores, 16 threads, up to 4.7 gigahertz, and in CPU benchmarks, it does beat out the 6800U. And with the new upcoming Intel XeSS oversampling technology, we can expect to see much better performance out of the built-in Intel Iris Xe graphics, but not in every single game. Intel has been saying that they're seeing up to 153% gain in GPU performance with this XeSS oversampling, but it's not every single game, just keep that in mind. But for the games that it is implemented with and does work with, we should see really great performance. The cooling system they use in the WinMax 2 is really going to play a big part in the kind of performance we're going to see out of both of these chips, whether or not we can run these at a higher TDP. Obviously, at a higher TDP, we'll get less battery life out of it, but we can expect much better performance out of both of these chips. Running these over 15 watts really helps out with the 1260p and the 6800U. But this is yet to be seen, it's yet to be tested. Hopefully they do a good job with this. Like we saw, they are going to be using Hall sensors in both of the joysticks. It's got two mappable buttons on the back. We also have our triggers and our shoulder buttons, and these are linear triggers on the WinMax 2. Dual vibration motors with built-in control and a gyroscope with a dedicated software suite, so we can actually get this up and running with many different games using their built-in software. And one thing that I recently saw that I thought was really cool were their built-in magnetic controller covers. These magnetically attach to cover up the D-pad, the analog sticks, and the buttons, and they recently put a video up kind of showing this off, and I thought it was pretty awesome. So we can take them right off, and there's actually a spot on the unit itself where they slide right in, so you're not going to lose them. Really cool little design choice. They also put up another short here, just showing off a little more. Got some I/O on the side here. I know it's a bit hard to see, this was only in 720p. But this looks like it's shaping up to be an awesome little device, and I can't wait to get my hands on one for testing. And if we take a closer look up here, we've got our select, menu, and start button over on the right hand side. Start and select are going to be on that same side, which is a little odd. I kind of wish they would have put select over on the left hand. But we've also got that keyboard and controller switch, so you just switch this over to keyboard or mouse mode. The final price hasn't been officially revealed yet as of making this video, but you can bet it's going to be a lot more expensive than the Steam Deck. When it comes to Valve creating the Steam Deck, after you get the hardware, they have other stuff that they can sell you, which is their software from Steam. So they're going to make money in the long run. When it comes to smaller companies like GPD, Aya, or AIM, they're just going to sell you the hardware. They don't have any software to sell you after the fact. But I'm definitely looking forward to the WinMax 2, and they do have their official website up, so if you want to go ahead and check out all the specs and everything they have to offer over there, I'll leave a link in the description. And I'd like to know your thoughts on the WinMax 2. Is it something that you're interested in at the right price? Is the handheld just a little too big to be a handheld? Are you not looking for something like this? Are you going to wait till Ryzen 8000 or whatever they call it when we do get like RDNA 3 in these APUs? Let me know what you think in the comments below. And definitely keep an eye out on the channel because I will be getting my hands on one of these for testing. And if you're interested in stuff like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button and maybe turn notifications on so you know when I post the next one. But like always, thanks for watching.